Hey, Randy Joe here, and today we are going to be checking out the second album of the year that The Smile has released. That, of course, being Cutouts. Released literally 48 minutes ago. This is the new album from The Smile, following Wall of Eyes, which came out back in January, which I also did a video for, by the way. The Smile came through with a second album, surprised everybody, by teasing Cutouts through the release of the single Don't Get Me Started. Now, I have not checked out any of the singles from this record. I wanted to keep it completely fresh because I'm a big fan of both Radiohead and The Smile, so I knew I was going to listen to this day one, and I thought, why not listen along with some fans here? So, kicking things off, this is a 44-minute album with 10 tracks. Foreign Spies is the opening track. Let's get into it. Before we get started, I will say, if you haven't checked out my reaction to Wall of Eyes, I loved that album, and even though I was a little bit iffy on some of the tracks when I first heard them in that reaction, I've really come around, and that record is a album that I keep coming back to throughout the year, and I think it is very strong from start to finish. So, with that in mind, I am wondering if they could continue the streak. Let's go into Foreign Spies. Bit of an ambient focus here. I like that, more synthy. Very interesting detour with this more like ambient kind of vibe here. Remind me a bit of Aphex Twin. Tom's voice is beautiful as ever. Ooh. Like a little cycling synth coming in. A really spacey, atmospheric track, this one. Oh. So heavy on the synths. God, the atmosphere on this one is so palpable. It's so thick. Such a... oh my God, a glimmering arrangement. And it's a very light track. Oh. God, this one's feeling both sci-fi, yet kind of nature-esque. Man, this one, really great arrangements. Honestly, the kind of oscillating synth there, as long as that shimmery synth on top too, very just like rich. What an opener. Super, kind of felt like a closer, to be honest, but super ethereal in tone, very kind of sci-fi focused. Feels like we were ascending into like a spaceship. Let's go into Instant Psalm. Really off-kilter strings against these drums. Love the drummer's work, by the way. Tom Skinner, I believe his name is. Known for Sons of Kemet, an incredible jazz band. I like how you can hear the strings as he moves his hand along the neck of the guitar. Adds like a slight rustic tone. This album has like a sense of almost like melancholy to it, more so than Wall of Eyes. Feels like it's I want to say much more dialed back in terms of the instrumentation. Feels much more, I want to say, humbled. Love to see Tom and Greenwood still working with strings, considering how beautiful a Moonshade Pool is. Oh, those strings really cutting through that dense arrangement. Love the strings throughout that track especially, but a nice parallel between those kind of eerie, kind of strange string arrangements and the just like gentleness of the guitar and the drums. Really strong contrast, really. Another beautiful track. I like how laid back the album feels so far. Let's go to Zero Sum. One of the singles, which I didn't listen to yet. Oh. This is kind of reminding me of Wall of Eyes a little bit. Oh my goodness. Super skittery. And really groovy, honestly. This guitar has such a zany energy to it. The bass line is nice and kind of warm underneath it all. Oh. God. I'm not sure what I'm hearing, but I like it. I'm thinking this is a commentary on the politics of the times. This one's really short, but it gets right to the point. And super, oh my goodness, super groovy. Like an earworm, that guitar especially, just digging away. I want to say that's like some sort of horn. It sounds like a horn. Oh my goodness, that one was really bizarre. That one reminded me of track off of remind me of Read the Room. You know, like this kind of intro had a similar kind of zany tone. But let's get back to where we were. The track here is Colors Fly. Zero Sum was fantastic. As you could tell, I thoroughly enjoyed just how off the wall it was. Let's go into Colors Fly. I like the reverb on that. Kind of hit there. I wonder if this album will have a bending hectic type of moment, you know? Which is an incredible track. Probably the best track on that record, Wall of Eyes. This one certainly takes its time a little bit more with its build here. Like that tension is rising. Repetition, one of Tom's favorite traits. Thinking of the raindrops, for those that know. my god. This one's getting a bit scattered, a lot of vocals. Feeling a little schizophrenic on this track. Oh, right back into the groove. Sense of madness in those vocals. And that squealing. Feels like it's harkening back to Kid A. Oh. Skinner pitter-patting away on those drums. That track was much more subtle in its build, but certainly spiraled towards the end there. I feel like that's a grower of a track. I feel like that's one that down the road, you know, one would find themselves coming back to repeatedly, because it's got a slowness to it. It's got a gentle pace. It's certainly not as in your face as Zero Sum was. On a first listen, I'm more intrigued than I am, you know, instantly enjoying it. But I feel like in time, I will definitely come around to enjoy that one, perhaps the most, honestly. Let's go into the next track here, Eyes and Mouth. Oh. Skinner always brings his kind of jazzier sort of arrangements to the table. Just like that kickoff. Not sure on this one either. I do like the piano work on this track, coming through a little bit stronger. Oh. And I do love how, like, dense the arrangements are, how scattered it feels. Oh my goodness. I want to say that's Greenwood on the guitar there. But he has been kind of taking it away on some of these tracks. Wow. I like that one. That one was an interesting one, but I'm conflicted on it because I still feel like it didn't quite reach its full potential. Part of me feels like it kind of ended before I feel like it really kind of could have flourished even further. This is another one where I'm thinking, you know, in time, I'll come around to it, similar to Colors Fly. But it's so kind of claustrophobic in its arrangement on that one. You've got Greenwood just going crazy with that guitar work, similar to Zero Sum. And Skinner just sounding as skittery and as jazzy as ever on those drums. And a beautiful kind of piano passage as well, kind of drowned in the mix, but just enough that you hear it kind of ring out, especially in the right ear there. And of course, Tom just doing his thing. Let's go into Don't Get Me Started, which is I believe the lead single, if I'm not mistaken, for this one here, which is the longest track as well on the album. It's no track on here is reaching the bending hectic length of I think that was like an 8-minute track, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it was. So I'm a little disappointed, only because I really loved that one, and I kind of wanted another kind of slow building explosive track like that. But you know, maybe it's better to leave it as a one and done thing, right? Let's get into Don't Get Me Started. Perhaps this will be a nice slow build that I've been waiting for. I love what they're doing with like a synth. Kind of like how they opened up the album, which this is the halfway mark. Track 5, track 1, both having a colder production so far. Tom, Mom's a beautiful singer, and I love the echo. Just fading out there. Ooh. Kind of like falling apart instrumental there. Perhaps this is a commentary on cancel culture or something? Someone who's been perhaps dragged by the media and has attempted to claw their way out. Ooh. Getting quite rapid in the instrumental there. There's still that really cold, rigid synth work. I like this one. We're halfway through and the pacing's been fantastic so far. Very well paced. Ooh. And kind of like crunchy in tone. Lots of detours in this one. Lots of kind of slow come downs before we very gently come into the next section here. Oh. I love the kind of sci-fi elements on the production of this album. It's like bleeps and bloops, as I think one reviewer said of Kid A. This album feels very... Oh. And then it all comes back here. Wow. Such a beautiful track. Really well paced. Always keeps it fresh too with the way it switches over. Like I was going to say though, I love the coldness of this album. I love the very desolate kind of vibe we're getting with a lot of these tracks. Incredible. That was a great track. Feels like maybe the highlight so far. Let's go to Tiptoe. This one feels more lo-fi already. Rougher kind of recording. It's not like the piano is like kind of recorded in public somewhere, you know? With those conversations in the background. Maybe our narrator feels like he's kind of sunken into the void of people.
Why people tiptoe, tiptoe, far away from the window.
To the people out of reach.
All of you appeasers and enablers.
Much more of a low-key cut, this one. I feel like it's dealing a lot more in the subtlety of the record. The strings, very prominent. Just as harrowing as ever. I like that one. That one felt like a nice little kind of low key cut, much more subtle. Like I said, definitely feels like a almost like a passage of a track. You know, like one that is there to kind of transition to the next section of the record. Let's go into the slip. And then right back into the groovy kind of side of this record, the more upbeat kind of funkiness. Love how buried that synth is. So muffled in the mix. Then it comes up, it's more prominent here in this section. Also feels kind of compressed, that synth. And muffled away. Also really like Tom's harmonizing with himself. Oh. Ooh. Kind of has like a slight kind of 2000s rock vibe to it. Those guitars. Oh. God. I feel like this whole album, Cutouts, has like a jazzier sort of DNA to it, a jazzier kind of texture, mixed with synth work, which is very contrasting. Oh my goodness. So many stylistic switch ups on this one. It's like a constant handover from one band member to the next. Man, that one was really scattered instrumentally, super all over the place. But like I said, I like the kind of jazzier DNA from Skinner that feels like it's brought more to the forefront of the record a little bit more. Let's go to No Words. So far, a nice mixed bag of kind of more low-key cuts mixed in with a much more punchier kind of upbeat nature tracks. Skinner on that percussion there. Very crisp. Not much to say about this one. Very tight playing, as expected, as ever. It isn't really doing too much for me. Isn't grasping me in any way. I do like the good kind of melting of Skinner's jazz, along with these synths that feel very cold. It's like a warmth meets cold sort of thing. I love those washed out. Those washed out harmonies is what I was going to say. And then he really pulled through with what sounded like multiple overdubbings there of his vocals. Sounded so beautiful in that outro. Let's go into Bodies Laughing. This is the final track on the album. So far, it's been a very brisk, well-paced album. I gotta say, 44 minutes has flown by. Seeing that this is a 5-minute track, we've heard already 39 minutes then, in that sense. And it feels like it's just been so brisk. It's been so well paced. But let's get into the final track. Let's close it out.
Just the one you are.
I like the focus on the lead guitar there. I love the sounds of those strings sliding up and down like I mentioned earlier. Really holding on to the kind of rawness of the production. Oh. I love when Skinner comes in. He's got such a smooth grace as he joins the rest of the members. Making a fool of yourself. Maybe a sense of anxiety. Oh. Really haunting backup vocals there. Oh. That was a really pretty kind of dial back there. Oh. That really kind of like ringtone, like synth there. Just ringing out. Wow, what a beautiful, clean track. Really great sense of atmosphere and chemistry between all the band members there. A nice warmth from Skinner on the drums. And of course, that typical coldness and isolated feeling of the synth work. Really coming in strong on the left side there. Again, I love that contrast. I feel like we get it quite strongly on this record. So much atmosphere, so much emotion kind of poured into the instrumentals that sometimes it's like Tom feels like he is the one kind of pushed to the side, which, considering he's the front man and he is obviously the front man of Radiohead and has quite a reputation behind him, that really says a lot about the other band members here. Obviously Greenwood we expect, but like I said, Skinner, an incredible musician, and I feel like he kind of shows off his skills quite a bit more throughout this record than typical on a Smile record. Overall, this is a really solid, more low-key album. I feel like it is much more subtle in its sound. I feel like it has a lot more sort of building blocks going into it that make a larger-than-life sort of tone to the tracks, which I really like. I think that kind of leads and shows the kind of complexities of the arrangements more than anything. I also liked how much some of these tracks were dialed back, much more low-key, like I said, such as Tiptoe, or the first couple of tracks, especially Instant Psalm and Foreign Spies, were really like ethereal, those first two, with Tiptoe also feeling much more kind of humbled and kind of lo-fi in its production. But then you have stuff like Zero Sum, or you have tracks like, I believe it was Eyes and Mouth, where Greenwood is just skittering along like crazy with his guitar work, feeling really frantic. Kind of remind me of Read the Room from their previous LP. All in all, this is a really solid record, a worthwhile record, and impressive considering that this is the second record of the year. Is it better than Wall of Eyes? Time will tell, but I will say I had a stronger, more invested reaction with this one than I did of Wall of Eyes, but maybe my expectations were a bit too high with Wall of Eyes, and then this one were a little bit more realistic. So that could be entirely on me. But I will say that I did thoroughly enjoy this one. I thought the pacing as well, at 44 minutes, flew by, did not feel like 44 minutes. It's just very well paced and a beautiful set of tracks. But that does it for today's video. If you like the video, please hit like, subscribe, follow along for listening to more albums alongside myself. After this one here, we will be checking out Jordy Griep's album, The New Sound, because it came out today as well alongside the Smiles record. And I am extremely excited to check that one out because I am a huge Black Midi fan, a huge fan of Jordy Griep, and that album I feel like will surely please the masses. Another thing, if you are new to the channel, is we are going to be doing Rocktober, where throughout the month of October I will be reacting to various rock albums that I've never heard before alongside you guys. So the first record we are doing, like I've said before, is going to be Dark Side of the Moon. Keep an eye out for that. After this weekend, I'll probably get that going. But as always, my name is Randy Joe. I appreciate you watching, and I'm signing off.